Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The topic for today starts because of the topic that we spoke yesterday regarding dependence and independence. So yesterday we spoke about dependence, and we said that someone is dependent from something when you are attached to some person, to some people, when you are conditioned by something that happened before, when you are hanging from a situation or a person that you previously know. So this is why what dependence means is that you are attached to those situations, to those things, and that you are hanging from them and your energy depends on them. And in the other hand, when you become independent, it's because you dare to transform, to transcend this connection from the past, and you are willing to move forward, to transform, to evolve. When we speak about independence, and emerges a concept that yesterday we didn't speak about, which is that we even if we become independent from others or from a past or situation or whatever, we will always be dependent on something. Because as a very easy example, you become dependent of food, dependent of sleeping when you are thirsty. You start to become dependent anyway from something. Your body is dependent on the environment, of the interaction with the others. So even if we become aware of being independent as a being, as an individual, eventually we will be facing the situation that a part of ourselves will need to be dependent on something. And why? Basically because the entire creation is a network. It's a whole network. So everything is connected. And the only way something can exist is because it's held by the environment. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to exist. So this is why, in essence, we are dependent of something. So another word that we usually say constantly is "it depends." And we don't really understand when we say "it depends," what it really means. When we say "it depends," we are saying that something that we do is related to a specific structure, related to the answer would be depending on a reality, on an emotion, on a decision. So basically, the difference between depending and independence would be the decision that we take on those things that depends. As I said yesterday, to depend on something is a conscious election, choice of a being. So the question for today was, if to be independent is almost impossible because we always depend on something, so what is the word that helped me understand why I am following the concept of being independent? This is that the process of getting independent from something is the constant, is something that is constant. So that is why we need to advance. We need to move forward. So this concept of being constant, advancing in our reality, is divided and seen from 3 points of view: subconscious, unconscious, and conscious. When we see it from the subconscious, it is related to the dependency of many things that are in our environment, like even breathing, eating, sleeping, those things that we cannot control, that are part of our biology, that are part of something really deep in ourselves that is almost impossible to control unless we do a hard work in ourselves. So the subconscious is something that keeps us depending on the environment that is around us. The unconscious is the one that controls our emotions. So the emotions that links us to something, the attachments that we have to something, and by these emotions, we don't feel able, and we don't even realize that we are able to transcend. So we get stuck or attached by fear, by these kind of emotions, to that old concept because we don't know other good, anything different to do. And of course, we have then the conscious way, which is the choice, when you know that you can let it go, that you can transcend something, and you move forward, you evolve, you change, you transform, you transcend. So when we become aware, conscious, and we start to seek for independence, what life is trying to tell us is that we have to keep going, that we should not look backwards and do exactly the same as we usually do, that we have to keep moving. It doesn't matter what happens. So the word advance comes from the Latin word ad, that means to, and ante, that means in front or before something. So if we have a timeline, like from the point of view of our third dimension, we will put the past here, the present, and the future there. And we set ourselves here in the middle. So we can say that if we are here in the middle, from the present towards the future, we are talking about seeking for independency. And from the present towards the past, we are living the dependency. So now we can tell here that in the present, why we are dependent from the past, because all what we are in the physical, the emotional, and the mental, they are a projection of everything that happened before. So we are hanging from the past, and that's why we are dependent from the past. So now we can understand here that we are hanging, depending from the past, and we will be dependent on the subconscious through the physical, in the unconscious through the emotional, and the conscious through the mental, the mind. So now we can understand here that we are hanging, depending from the past, and we will be dependent on the subconscious through the physical, in the unconscious through the emotional, and the conscious through the mental, the mind. So here we can say that through the subconscious, in the physical aspect, our body has been built by the cellular level, and the cells has been improving through thousands of years to develop into eating, sleeping, and all the processes that the body, the physical, needed to do. So we depend on all the things that our biological aspect has been designing for us to be. So we depend of this genealogical tree, of this biological tree. We are hanging from that tree in our subconscious. So in the subconscious, this means that whatever we want to do with our body will depend on our physical and biological history. So now we have the unconscious. The unconscious level is the one that will do the registry, the recordings of every experience, traumatic, happy, all the things that we have lived through our family, all the links, the emotional bonds that we have with people, all the things that we have felt and other ones have felt in our genealogical tree, that is all in the unconscious way, in the unconscious level. The unconscious is saying that from my ancestors and my own life and experience in this one life that I'm living now, my emotions will depend on the things that I have lived. So the conscious level, something important to understand about the conscious level, is related with the mind. So someone that is conscious is not an enlightened one. It's not that when you become conscious of something, you are already there and aware of the things. No. To be conscious about something, it means that you can think about something and you can determine the environment according to what you believe or what you think. So being conscious is when you take power of what you think and you apply that in the world. So for example, someone that is conscious can be someone really religious that says, you have committed a sin, so you will go to hell. That's also another kind of consciousness, okay? Because that person is believing, is thinking, is knowing what the person is saying, because it determines the culture, the purposes of their lives according to that. So this means that they can think about it, and that's the conscious aspect. So it was, I think it's good to clarify this, because when we say today we are working for the consciousness of the planet, it's not that we are working to enlighten the planet. We are working for the people to become aware of these other two. Okay, that's to be conscious. So the conscious will be my beliefs, my ideas, my thoughts, all that. Okay, so my beliefs, my thoughts, my conscious level will depend on my culture, traditions, study, teachings, whatever I have received before. So our 3 levels of consciousness depends on our past history. So this says that what I am now is specifically the result of my past. We have here a process, this process. When you have an idea in your mind and suddenly you change that idea, you start to do a reflection of yourself. You reflect on that idea. Think about that idea. Like, for example, does the hell exist? That same person that was saying, if you commit a sin, you go to hell, suddenly that person would say, it's really like that? So it starts to reflect, to think about it. And suddenly arrives to the point that says, there's no hell. The hell is something that I create with my own actions. And suddenly arrives the point of inflection. The point of inflection would be through the unconscious, when it reaches the crisis in when that person realizes that there's no hell, and that the hell depends on what you feel, what you have within. So that person starts to change the way in which feels the world, in which sees the world. And so by that, it starts to live the process of flexion, which means to take a different action in the way they live. Not being afraid of the hell, not thinking about the sins, and becoming free to enjoy life. For example, that would be how it is transformed. This is why when we change the consciousness, the process starts to change the person. That's why when we are saying rise the consciousness of the planet, it's not to go into another dimension. It is basically to make the person think about the reality that they were believing about, and suddenly say, oh, maybe it's not like this, it's like this. So when you start to question your own beliefs, the process starts by itself to transform the unconscious and the subconscious. So a change of consciousness and a process of awakening the consciousness is something that takes you to the path of knowing yourself, understanding yourself. Have this idea. When a person starts to become conscious, makes a reflection. Reflection, it means to bend oneself again, to watch oneself again, observe the inside. So when you do that, you suddenly start to watch behind, to watch towards the past. And to see your own image, your reflection in the past, is what in Latin you call respect. Respect is to look behind and to respect your past, to honor your ancestors, to understand your history, to understand what it means. And that's why every time that we start to become conscious of ourselves, what happened is that we go back to the past to do what? Honor our ancestors, to heal our history, etc. Once I become aware of this, conscious about this, what I start to do is to understand, to bring the awareness of why happened all of that. So I make the point of inflection to change the ideas of the past, to start a new action, something different in my life, which is the present. The present is that instant in which, with consciousness, I can take all the heritage, all the information that I got to the past, and transform it into a new reality, into something different. But let's understand very well this. The present is just the result of the past, which means that the present depends strictly from the past. And what this means, that if I don't do an awakening of my consciousness, I will be always living in the past. So we will be living acting, reacting, expressing ourselves through the past and never through the present. So a person can be conscious throughout all its life by believing, for example, in a religion, having a faith. But that person would have never awakened its consciousness if that person had never asked itself or questioned itself about its own faith. So the process of becoming or awakening the consciousness is to take those things that we bring with us and to bend them towards us again so we can analyze them and watch them closely. This is why this path that we are taking takes us to rethink all our beliefs, to try to change the point of view of our own structures. So this would be the key of independence. When you release some of these links here to connect and create new ones. This will mean that I didn't cut the links from the past. I transcend the links from the past. I didn't erase all the things. I just move forward. So remember, to transcend means trans, which is the other side, and scendere, that means to climb. Climb a mountain or go up. So what really happened here, by transcendence is not that the link that we have here before, we cut it and disappear. No, it's that the same link, we take it from the past, from dependency, and we pull it into the next level, like having the stairs and you going up in the process of evolution. So to transcend is not to go up and erase the first steps of the stair. Otherwise, there is no stair. There is no process of evolution. So to transcend is to recognize the importance of each one of the steps. It's not a matter of disconnect, it's a matter of reconnect. So basically, to advance is to put yourself in front of something different, or put the things that you have behind now in front of you. So you can change your life depending on the things of the past and throwing the dependency on the things that you want in the future. The only thing that doesn't, if this is a constant through time, advancing through time, the only thing that keeps us living attached to things is our fear watching behind. So the reason why we look behind is because we are afraid of doing the questions. When we start to ask, to question all the things that we believe, is the moment when we awaken our consciousness. And we become independent from all the things that were before. And when we change this point of view, when we switch the consciousness, awakening the consciousness, looking into the future, advancing, the perception is that a lot of people stays behind. We lose friends, lovers, relationships, family. This is what makes us feel afraid, to lose the emotional stability that we had with others. This is what sometimes makes us listen these sentences like, you were not like that, you changed. What happened to you? So these people, they don't stare behind. These people are walking their own path. It's just simply us that we change and we start our point of view and we start to advance. And in front, we have more people. As you've seen, every day, every week, we are going through the physical, emotional, and mental, trying to make that change so we release the dependency from the past, moving forward. Life is advancing all the time because advancing is a constant in the universe, like time and space. So the only thing that makes us believe that we are not moving forward is that we are watching behind. So, simple thing. When things change, we have to adapt, move forward. Because if we are attached to the forms of what it was, we live in the past. And if we adapt to the things that come ahead, we live in the future. So it's really simple. The explanation is very simple. So of course that to apply this is not that easy. Hay que adaptarse. So today I wrote in the post, then when you can read it, so you will see it, I describe the schedule that I had to do, that I was supposed to do during this year, in these days that we are. I am describing the whole path that I was supposed to do around the world. And as you see, it's very different from what I am doing right now, which is to stay here in front of the screen every day. It's totally the opposite. And I had to decide it 10, 15 days before, and to adapt everything that I was supposed to do only 3 days before. So sometimes the biggest things are made with the simple things, and you just have to keep moving just by adapting to the new forms. Let's go to the alignment. The vibration for today